Oh, g'day. I didn't see you there. No, don't adjust your TV sets or your devices. It is I, Smokescreen. I'm back. It's been a couple of weeks since I made a video. Where have I been, you might be asking? I just was having a little bit of a break, and that's completely fine. But you might be wondering also, what did I do for those 2-3 weeks? Well, work was crap, so that didn't help things. And I also did do a race, a Nations Cup race, the Mazda Touring Car at Bathurst. Now, you might be wondering also, you're wondering a lot of things, I'm assuming. The thumbnail has a Group C car on it. It doesn't have a Mazda on it. Yes, we'll get to the Group C race shortly, because in the interim, since I've last made a video, we've done a few rounds actually. I did the manufacturer's race at Willow Springs. That was the tuning race. I crashed on all my slots, so that was no good. And then I also did this Nations Cup race at Bathurst, and also the Nations Cup race at Le Mans. We're going to start off this video with the Bathurst race. The Willow Springs races will not be documented, basically because not really too much went on. I just drove off the track a couple of times, and yeah, it was really no good at all. But as for this Bathurst race, Mazda Roadster Touring Car around Bathurst. Now, strange combination, isn't it? But it's actually a really cool combination, and this is the qualifying lap that you're seeing. 2.5 minute lap here, and we're heading through turn 2 now. You're basically just keeping your rolling speed up, keeping your average speed as high as you can, because you know this car, a really low powered car, you got to keep your momentum up, especially heading up the hill here. We've got a 174 meter elevation difference, so you're climbing for 174 meters uphill. You really need that momentum, and if you're 1k an hour down coming out of a corner at the bottom of a hill, you're going to really suffer up the hill. But the good thing about this car is it's all flat out across the top of the mountain. As soon as you apply the power out of the cutting turn 4, you're flat out all the way until the entry to the S's. So we head down through Brock Skyline, on the brakes on that first apex, modulate the brake all the way down here, the back end just protesting a little bit. We chuck it down the dipper and meet that apex at turn 13. I think it is. No, turn 15, sorry. Looking down at my notes there. Yeah, so we meet that apex beautifully, get a nice line through Forest Elbow. We've got Captain Muffin behind. I'm not too sure whether they are in my slipstream at this stage, but we're going to be heading down Conrod Straight, a long run downhill now, so 174 metres downhill, a little bit of a crest in the straight here as we just hang on to that 4th gear until we crest the hill. Shift into 5th as we begin to go downhill. Again, coming into the chase, you can brake really late in this car, and coming into the braking period, it's just before the 100 meter board. Normally you're braking sort of on the 150 or just after the 150, but it's close to the 100 this time. Get through there okay. Captain Muffin's a little bit closer to me, I think, so I think he's probably going to get a quicker qualifying time than me here. Coming into the final turn, the 23rd turn on this track, Murray's Corner. A little bit wide on the exit there, 2 wheels on the grass, clatter that curve on the inside, but it's all good. 2:28.5, Captain Muffin eclipses our time by 0.3 of a second. But at this particular stage, it's provisional 2nd position. We're going to see where it puts us on the eventual official grid here. Grid start, and we're lining up 2x2 double file on the start of the race here. We're going to see where we line up shortly. See, I think it's probably close to the mid-pack at this stage. It looks to be in about 8th position. 8th. So the people ahead of us, Amazing Hour Twitchy, Tez, Metal Gear, Captain Muffin. Pretty much the usual suspects there. Ranger Oz starting directly next to us there. We're on the outside because we are starting in an even-numbered position. And coming into turn 1, we have to be really careful not to drive off the track here. Gentle on the brakes, around the outside. Ranger Oz gets the move up the inside, but Rid1 gets a poor exit there. And I've got the slipstream of Ranger Oz at this particular stage here, so I'm able to drive past Rid1 as Ranger Oz just gifts the slipstream to Rid1. But it wasn't enough to keep me behind. It wasn't enough to keep me behind Rid1, so I'm ahead of Rid1 at this stage, and you can see we sort of got ahead of him by the end of lap 2, but Ranger Oz is coming back at us, heading down the straight for the 2nd time, and heading into the braking zone of the chase. I go ahead and do this, and just brake too late, sort of look down the inside, but just brake too late. Ranger Oz is off the track, he comes across and bins it into the gravel. So that's my fault.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
I felt awful. Just absolutely terrible for crashing into Ridwan and ruining his race. And look, it's really times like this. This is what was happening in my time off, because it was just horrible. I was just in a massive rut ever since the Nürburgring crash, and the only thing I could do to clear my conscience here was ruin my own race. And I copped a bit of stick for this. People were saying, oh, why did you do that? You don't have to do that. You really shouldn't do that. I don't agree. But I don't know. If I crash into someone and then bring home a really good result, like, it's really not what I'm about. I want to get the job done cleanly, without making any enemies, without ruining anyone else. If I have to ruin someone else's race to get a good result, then I'm not racing properly. So that's why I do what I do. That's why I backed off and just ruined that. But yeah, this was right in the middle of it. This was this was last week's race, wasn't it? So yeah, right in the middle of my little rut. Ever since Nürburgring, I've just lost it. I just had no motivation to do anything. And then, yeah, work was crap. And there was a load of real-life motorsport going on too. Formula 1 and supercars were right in the middle of their triple header, and the Bathurst 1000 as well. So, I had plenty of that to watch in my spare time. But this is the next slot. Why am I showing in pole position? I actually qualified in second. Pole position is the slot on the inside, but because we're directly next to each other, the second slot must be marginally ahead, therefore reflecting first position. But Ranger Oz got pole position there. I qualified in second, again with the 2:28.5, and we've had a really good start here up behind Ranger Oz. I'm going to follow this action for a little bit just to see how this race pans out, because we've got plenty to do in this video today, so we have to move along with things quite quickly. Ranger Oz just warms up the tyres a little bit, and I get a little bit close to him there. I don't go for the move because I look at this stage, Hyperdrift and Metal Gear, position 3, position 4 behind us. I want to work together with Ranger Oz at this stage to try and get, try and move up the road. I want to get away from the cars behind. I don't want to fall into a battle pack. I just want to try and move away, try and drive away. And as we head up into the cutting, Ranger Oz gets the line a little bit wrong, and I have an overlap now. And I know I just said I'm working together, but Ranger Oz has made a mistake there, and if I tried to hang behind him, I think Hyperdrift would have just capitalised. So the best thing to do at this stage, off the back of Ranger's mistake, is to just fall into single file. I've got the better momentum, so Ranger Oz is going to fall behind me. I've also got the inside through the top of the hill park section, heading down through McPhillamy Park now. Ranger Oz just slots in behind. Metal Gear moves up ahead of Hyperdrift. You might be looking down on the radar, and then they look to go down the inside at the S's, and I just get thrown off. I wasn't going to make that corner, so I have to cut the inside of turn 11 there, and then I'm just way too narrow for the dipper, and I think that's what's done it. That's given me a penalty, a 1.5 second penalty in these cars at the start of the race. We serve that 1.5 seconds of braking, and because it's the first lap, everyone's bunched together, so that's 4-5 positions down the toilet. We're going to lose even more. Another one driving past, and another one. We're down into 13th. We've got more cars coming up here. We've still got a bit of the straight to go. They're all going to get past 2 more cars around the outside, and another one polishes off. 16th. Oh, another one gets down the inside. I can't do it without contact, of course, and ends up binning himself off. But 16th, and we finish that race in 12th. Another absolute disaster. This was what was happening to me. Oh man, it's just so disheartening. I had the pace there. I mean, I put it on the front row, and a little moment like that in the race, and it just goes down the toilet. I don't know, man. I just don't understand why you'd look down the inside of the S's on the first lap, on lap 1, and you're fighting that hard. It just put me off so much, and yeah, threw that result away. So that was where I left the Bathurst round. It was horrible, and that was one of the results that just like really made me to not want to play the game, not want to make videos, and not want to do anything. But this is the race from yesterday, and this is the race in the thumbnail. Group 1 at Circuit de la Sarthe. One of my favourite combinations in the game, especially because the Mazda 787B is the meta car. Okay, we're back. We are back. Let's do this.
You look so hot today, like a sunrise.
You don't know it. Thank you, Katut.
Remember, eyes on the road, Rhonda.
Anyway, we move on to qualifying. We've got a nice little preview of what could be to come. Come on, just don't mess it up, bro. That's all you gotta do. That is all you gotta do. Just don't mess it up. What's so hard about that? Giving myself a nice little pep talk before we go out for qualifying here. Penalty City, the absolute... Actually, Mistah MCA called it a really funny name in one of his tweets, and it got me absolutely hollering. Circuit della penalty. So simple, so beautiful, yet so painfully accurate. We have this awkward moment on the outlap with Kiwi just going a little bit too slow, and I did get a bit selfish there, I'll be honest. I was like, oh, okay, here's an opportunity for some track position, because I don't want to be stuck behind an LMP1 car through the opening sector here, because there's a really big segregation. We're going to dive into all the little intricacies and all the little differences in all the different cars at this combination after qualifying. We'll do all that in the race, but on the opening lap, or not even the opening lap rather, it's the qualifying lap, isn't it? It's all about just getting a quick, clean lap with no penalties. It's no penalties. That's your first goal. Do not, for the love of everything, get a penalty. You don't want to do that. So nice and conservative through the Dunlop chicane, and their next penalty hotspot is Tertre Rouge here, which is this fast right out onto the big straight. Make sure you keep two wheels on the yellow and blue curbs, and you'll get through there okay. Just try and keep a nice rolling speed through there, and it's, you know, you end up gaining a lot of time if you just have a nice smooth turn in with no brakes. Just one foul swoop of the steering wheel, the car will grip up nicely and not understeer. So we get through the first chicane okay, we get through Tertre Rouge okay, no penalties to report of so far. The second of the chicanes down the straight, La Floridiere chicane, we've got to get through here nicely. We've got Atom up ahead, he's driving an LMP1 car, so it's at this stage in the lap where we are going to be gaining on Atom. So you might be looking at the particular dynamic at this stage. Oh, I'm catching Atom, surely I'm going to beat him in qualifying. That's not the case. Atom's going to have a much faster sector, like opening handling sector before Tertre Rouge. He's also going to have a much faster closing sector. So all the way from the Porsche curves, the start of the Porsche curves, up until Tertre Rouge, the LMP1 cars are just going to be absolutely incredible because of their superior downforce. But then all the way from Tertre Rouge to Porsche curves, the other way around, the rest of the track, the Group C cars are going to be the cars to beat. So all the way up until here, Atom's going to drive away on the exit of the corner a little bit, but as we head up to the top speed, I'm going to get a little bit of an advantage, but then coming into here we get a beautiful turn into the Porsche curves there if you were paying attention. And we've got to get through here just as cleanly as possible. Atom's going to drive away at this stage, especially through this corner here and this corner as we chuck it in. Atom's going to have much less of a lift there. He's going to be able to keep a lot more throttle percentage on through all these fast corners. And then we're going to be heading into the Ford chicanes. I'm going to gain a little bit on the entry here, but then Atom's going to gain a lot as we head through the Ford chicanes. The last four corners on the track, you can cut the last two quite a lot as well. Still no penalties to report of. Up across the line, 320.1. Not the best, but oh god, I'm there, okay. Not too bad of a qualifying, and I had a good amount of track position there, so I was able to hold that 5th position all the way up until the end of the qualifying session. So we're starting right there with the top guys in top split, slot 1, Circuit de la Sarthe, Group 1. Let's do this. Lovely, as always, we meet ourselves on the grid. Standing start, another standing start in Nations Cup. Lovely, and it makes sense on this track because you've got the Ford chicanes that will sort of balk anyone that starts basically fifth or backwards in a rolling start. So the standing start is the way to go, and it's the way I think races, especially at least this track in general, should occur, because Circuit de la Sarthe, the famous 24-hour race, occurs here. You know, you need a nice grand standing start for a track of this caliber. But let's get off the line with some traction control. We're not going to make the mistake that we did last time this combination came up and experiment with a second gear launch. The first gear launch plus traction control is what you want. And then heading up into turn 1, Metal Gear on our inside. He sweeps in ahead. I've got no issues with that. But then someone dives in here and we just get pushed off the track. We're on the inside of the Dunlop chicane here with absolutely filthy tyres, and we get very unsettled as we're trying to get on the power to try and minimise the position loss there. And we've got dirty tyres through this opening sector, so we've already got a disadvantage through here, and I'm just understeering every time I turn the wheel. Superstar gets clean around the outside there. Schnickerman looking to the inside of Turt Rouge, just runs into the back of us. Got to try and keep it within the track limits there, and we just about managed to fend off any further LMP1 cars from getting the move done. So Superstar ahead. Of course, one person has to come barrier in. Superstar ahead in the LMP1 car just loses out by the end of the straight as we reach up towards 360 kilometres an hour, and then heading down into the first chicane for the first time. Largest chicane, we get through there beautifully. A third gear launch out of the exit of the chicane there, and we've got Kiwi up ahead who's driving the Peugeot 908, another LMP1 car. However, it's definitely more so tuned to straight line speed. It's got a nice handling characteristics, that Peugeot. It's good in the corners and it's decent down the straights, but it's just not quite as good as the Mazda 787B. We run it in slightly deep here. We have to drop to second gear to not overshoot that second apex of La Floridière chicane. We get through there. Okay, Superstar's dropped off 1 second behind, so this is where the LMP1 cars really do lose out, and Superstar will probably have to be within about 2 seconds by the time we head into the handling section of the track to actually try and come back at me, because this is where we see the dynamics of the Group C cars versus the LMP1 cars. They really come to light here. So Group C car has not as much downforce as an LMP1 car, it's just the way it is. It's got a lot more straight line speed though, so over the course of the entire lap, the Group C cars and the LMP1 cars balance out. But what I tend to find is that I do a lot better in racing situations if I have the advantage in the straight line, because what I find happens if you have the advantage in the handling part of the track, you can be behind someone that has the power advantage because they've gotten past you on the straight, but then you get stuck behind them in the handling and you lose your advantage in the handling section, especially in these kinds of cars, because you either A, you lose your downforce because you're stuck in dirty air, or you just get simply stuck behind them, because generally through a handling part of a track, a lot of the time it's a single file line, it's really non-overtaking. So as long as the car up ahead that's got a disadvantageous sort of handling characteristic, if they just take the racing line, park it on the apex, you with the superior handling, there's not much you can do at all. So I definitely wanted the advantage in the straight line. I wanted to get positions on the straight where it was nice and easy, try and minimise contact, minimise mistakes in all the corners, and just try and do my best to mitigate the poor handling of the Mazda 787B. Plus the screaming rotary, who wouldn't want that? And I've actually gone ahead and put a different livery on the car. I know it's a crime against motorsport, but you know, I think it was about time to slap a livery on the old Mazda, so that's exactly what we've done. But here is where the race is going to begin to get interesting. We've got Kiwi up ahead. In practice, I generally showed pace a little bit quicker than Kiwi as we just take nice conservative lines through that Dunlop chicane. The number one penalty hotspot on this track, you just want to keep two wheels within the bounds of the track defined by the white lines, and you'll get through there penalty free. So Kiwi's got he's got the advantage through the last part of the track and the first part of the track, all the way up until here, where I'm going to have the advantage. So 1.3 seconds we've got to gain. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 4, essentially 5 decent long straights to try and gain the advantage here. The Peugeot 908 is better in a straight line than the rest of the LMP1 cars, but it doesn't have battery deployment. It doesn't have the hybrid that some of the other cars do, some of the other LMP1 cars do. So he's better on the straight line, but he's not going to have that really aggressive hybrid launch out of the slower corners that some of the more modern LMP cars are going to have. So Atom up in 5th is driving the Audi R18. The Audi does have really aggressive hybrid out of the corners, so even though we're on the straights, for the first half of the straights, the Audi R18 is going to have the advantage, but then towards the end, we're going to gain it back. But the key difference there is that Kiwi doesn't have the hybrid, therefore pretty much all the way from the exit of these slower corners, all the way up the straight, we are going to have the advantage, but Kiwi has a little bit extra straight line speed compared to the Audi to make up for it. But here we go. Come on. Yes. Very good. Clean past him down into Mulsanne corner, and one more thing that we have is another couple of straights to go to consolidate this position, to gap Kiwi a little bit. He's going to have my slipstream as we head up the straight here. He's got some extra straight line speed compared to other LMP1 cars. He's going to be a little bit tougher to shake than someone like Atom might be if I got ahead of him. As we head down the straight, that gap is opening up 6 tenths or 6.5 tenths at this particular stage. As we head up towards Indianapolis, Arnage, the gap just opens beyond the slipstream range. We've got Atom right ahead of us, if I can use my mouth to get the words out correctly. He's got Amazing Hour directly ahead of him, so I'm not quite sure what's happened to Amazing Hour there, but the fact that we're this close to Amazing Hour probably suggests he's made a little bit of a mistake on the opening phase of this race here. Atom and Amazing Hour just side by side up ahead. Kiwi just dropping out of the slipstream here, so we're going to have a decent gap coming into the handling parts of the track, and my hope here is that I can just park it on the apexes, just do my absolute best to try and keep Kiwi behind, because as soon as we get out onto the straights again, as long as we're ahead of Kiwi, that's pretty much going to be position consolidated. But as we head through this handling part of the track, Atom's got a little bit of dirty air from Amazing Hour, so he's not going to have the full advantage that his LMP1 car can have through those handling sections, and we're going to try and keep as close as possible to Atom, because the next part of the race is going to be eyes forward. Got to try and get Atom, who's suffering from the dirty air, so hopefully the gap leading out onto the straight is not as big as it could be compared to if he didn't have any dirty air running up through here. So 2 seconds heading off the back of the second lap, beginning lap 3, heading into the Dunlop chicane for the first time. Look at this, 2 wheels within the white line, and then on the second apex here, we maybe just dip 2 wheels beyond the white line there, but have a look at what happens on the exit. For what? For crossing the line, they reckon. Is that what they reckon, is it? That was ridiculous. So now we've got, now the race has done a complete 180. Instead of being 2.3 seconds behind Atom with 5 straights to gain all that time back, we are now 2.3 seconds behind Atom with a penalty. Kiwi's got one too, so that was the other part of the... That's a little bit annoying. I'm not going to be pushing that chicane anymore, that's for sure. That was the other part of the story. Kiwi probably could have overtaken me once we served this penalty here, if he didn't also get a penalty himself. And Atom, look at that, 1.2 seconds heading into Larcher chicane. We could have definitely had that position if we didn't have to serve this penalty instead. We had to serve that penalty. You have to slow down for half a second. The car jams on its brakes. There's absolutely nothing you can do. And what I found in my practice is that the penalties were essentially double. If you served it at that first penalty gates, the first of 3 at this track, the penalty was essentially twice as big as what presented on your screen. So you brake for half a second, but you lose speed down the straight, so that time loss is even more pronounced. So we've lost a good amount of time there. Coming up into this handling section, we're going to follow this in real time, because this is the mid part of the race. Again, we're still just trying to focus on trying to catch up to Atom, so we're going to keep a close eye on that gap to Atom as we head through the handling parts of the track to see if it is at all possible that we can gain and try and get Atom's position, try and get back into 5th where we qualified. So we were 2 seconds coming into Porsche curves. On the exit of Porsche curves, we're 2.9, essentially 3 seconds. So we've lost a second through that little handling section there. Ford chicanes, we can kind of chuck it in, cut the corners as much as possible, while also avoiding the penalties that you can get on those curbs, on those sausage curbs on both parts of the chicane there. 3 seconds on the exit of the 4 chicanes. Beginning lap 4, we got 3.1 seconds up towards Atom. We're going to gain a little bit as we head into the braking for Dunlop chicane here. I've also got to be really careful not to get a penalty. 2 wheels on the black, 2 wheels on the black. Try and get as smooth of an exit as possible. Second gear to get the launch out over the top of the crest, down through the snaking part to the opening lap. 3.5 seconds to Atom now. We've lost 1.5 seconds through the opening, through the handling section of the track. On the exit here onto Turt Rouge, 3.8 through Turt Rouge. Let's see what that gap opens up to. 4.0 seconds as we head out onto the straight. And let's see how much we gain down the straight. We've gained a whole second down that first part of the chicane. Atom's going to have hybrid deployment. He's going to gain a little bit on the exit of the first chicane, down to 2.5 seconds. Again, he's going to gain a little bit on the exit here. Let's see what this time is. We head into Mulsanne Corner, 2 seconds. He's going to have hybrid deployment. He's going to stretch out that gap a little bit, but then coming up towards the beginning of the handling section, the fast right-hander into Indianapolis, Arnage, 1.6 seconds, still not within slipstream. We're going to have a nice slow apex there to try and get the car turned, and then coming into the sharpest corner on the track, or one of the sharpest, Arnage, turn 25, Atom, hybrid deployment. He's going to gain a load of time on the exit of that particular corner there, and that gap has just equalised as we're heading up towards the Porsche curves. It's going to be near enough 2 seconds. So you can quite easily see what happens there. I gain 2 seconds on my superior parts of the track. Atom gains 2 seconds. We're just stuck in a yo-yo, and ultimately I'm not close enough. And that was that story. I'm stuck in 6th until I get this penalty. How did I get that? Another dodgy penalty at one of the penalty hotspots on the track.
That changes things.
It certainly does. It certainly does past Smokescreen, doesn't it? Yes. 1 second. We've got a 1 second penalty now to try and serve. And the key difference here, we know that penalty is going to be about double. I'm going to lose about 2 seconds from this penalty. Kiwi, 2 seconds behind. So this is really going to be a massive turning point in the race here. I've now got a race on my hands for 7th. I'm going to do my best to keep 7th. Kiwi has a penalty too.
Oh, he's got one too. Oh my goodness, that's thrown me a lifeline. Bloody hell. Oh, I think I'm right. I think I'll be right.
That has just saved me. That's just saved turmoil, emotional distress, and just absolute sheer disappointment that would have been getting a penalty that really I don't think I earned. I feel like...
Oh man, okay. I'm safe.
And safe indeed I was. Up towards the end of the race, so yeah, that was lucky, wasn't it? So I couldn't get Atom. That first penalty just put me too far off the back of him to gain enough to try and make some inroads, and then that second penalty, Kiwi thankfully got one too, and just saved me losing a further position there, but ultimately we bring it home in 6th.
Oh dear. Well, 6th is not bad. And if we have a look at the people who beat me, the best I could have got there, I think, was 5th.
Beautiful. I'll take that. Yeah, I could have been fighting up with Atom if I just avoided those couple of penalties. Atom got through the whole race penalty free, and it put him far enough up the road to not be susceptible to a move from my Mazda down any of the straights. Well, we bring home 247 points, 6th position. We lost a position from where we qualified, but it was not worth going again. I've had such an awful few weeks just with no motivation, and, you know, my personal life hasn't been the best either, with work being really stressful and, you know, really horrible, to be quite honest with you. I needed to hold on to that little bit of positivity that I've had in the last few weeks. It was really, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I probably could have gone again, probably would have had the pace to probably win the race in 2nd slot, but I don't think it was worth the risk of crashing and ruining the entire night. I needed that positivity, and I needed to step away from the evening with a positive outcome, with a positive result, and 247 I think constitutes that for me. But look at that, a video! I do thank you for making it to the end. We're going to do our best to try and sort of get back in the swing of things, get back doing the rounds, practicing, trying to get some good results to hopefully get my happiness and motivation back up towards, you know, racing. making the videos, and all that jazz. But anyway, that's going to round out this video today, so do hit the like button if you enjoyed, and do subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me. Do leave a comment as well. Questions, comments, and constructive criticism, as always, very much appreciated. But that's going to be the end of this one today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.